Hi everyone and welcome to episode 12 of Let's Play Planet Coaster 2 here on Theme Park Worldwide, and of course welcome back to the series. It's been about 35 days since the last episode. As I mentioned back in episode 11, it was on a bit of a break from the series whilst we went over to Florida and we had an absolutely amazing time, so make sure you check out the vlogs here on the channel if you haven't already seen them. But yes, in this episode getting stuck straight back in with another themed area here at the park, and yes, here at Primrose Forest we're going to be putting in a Mack Xtreme spinning coaster. Now I'm excited to put this in, of course the new for Planet Coaster 2 as well, one of the new coasters. So I really wanted to put one of these in the park, but I was just unsure on what area this was going to go in. And as I kind of had this idea of using some of the aquatic scenery to do a steampunk area, I thought this would be the perfect fit adding it into here. Now of course we've got a bit of a steampunk theme going on the Ride to Happiness by Tomorrowland at Plopsaland Japan, so that kind of inspired me a little bit from this. And then of course you've got the amazing Ruckburg, which is home to Fly at Phantasialand in Germany. That's got the massive kind of factory steampunk vibes, so I want to kind of combine the two, because I don't want this to be a small compact area like that's where Fly is at Phantasialand. You know, that's a very small area, it's amazing, it's very immersive, but obviously it's quite compact, whereas with this I want a bigger area to fit with the other two lands that we've built at the park, but also a big spectacular coaster going into here, taking up quite a bit of space. So yeah, as you can see, we've got this nice layout starting to come together already. Again, the footage is sped up about 2.5 times the speed of what I was building in, just so I can kind of talk through it all and what I was building here. So we kind of dropped down at the station into a launch, got the acceleration rate pretty high on that. And also, I kind of wanted it that you drop straight out the station and into the launch. I didn't want kind of like a hold there or a stopping part. So literally you're straight into the launch just there before going up into the banana roll, which is a great element on the Ride to Happiness. I thought that would be brilliant on this Mack Xtreme spinning coaster. And then you drop down into a large loop, which is pretty big. It's a very tall element, so I thought that would fit really nice here. Before going into an overbank, an airtime hill, a helix is like a turnaround section there before the second launch. And obviously this is going to be fully themed. There's going to be like a bit of a factory around that turnaround section. And that's why we've built the turnaround like that, to kind of have this building around it. Before going up, and of course into some more inversions and different elements, we've got like a 0G roll, we've got like an animal one going in, so just these different elements that we're putting in. Dive loop, just to kind of maximise all this space that we've got down here. I wanted to make sure this was a big coaster, a big intense standout coaster down here at the back of the park for this area. So yeah, coming out of that inversion into a helix there. At first it was a bit like an incline loop, but it turns into a bit of a downward helix there, get some good forces before coming round and into the brake run. So yeah, nice, good long ride. You know me, I enjoy building the coasters, but I love the theming element a lot more with this, and yeah, you're gonna start to see that coming together. Now, of course, we opened the park quite a while back now, and I mentioned how there'd be future expansion with this next area that we're working on here, the steampunk land. I also want another pathway that leads into it. So what we're doing here, this was all designed with this in mind for this future expansion. So we're putting in another pathway close to the other entrance of the park. So as you may remember, way back at the start of the series, feels like ages ago now, but what I did there was I built like 2 entrances that all merged into one, and then it kind of forced everybody around that left-hand side of the Vikings area. Here, we're putting another pathway in, so instead of everybody being forced to the left, guests will be able to flow out more into the park, and that's what we're working on here with this other pathway, kind of covering that in there as well, and then that'll be fully landscaped on the top just there. So yeah, it just means that there's a bit better guest flow in the park, a bit better access. As soon as people come in, you've got an option to go left or right instead of kind of forcing everybody to the left. And that's something like, a bit like, you know, Portaventura in Spain. If you've been to Portaventura before, you'll know that's kind of like that, as in they force everybody to the right round the lagoon, even though more of the park is on the left. Ideally, what it could do with, since Portaventura has expanded so much, it could do with the pathway on the left of the lake connecting up into far west, really, you know, just so you can fully walk around the lake. But yeah, that was done intentional when we designed this park. But as we've grown, we've got the hotel, we've got the water park, more guests coming in. We wanted to make sure we've got more options for the pathway. No, obviously just removing the signage here that said like new land coming soon. It's quite funny because a lot of my signs turned upside down. So Planet Coaster released like an update a few days ago, and they've not really put loads in the update, to be honest. There's a new flat ride in there. I've not really had much chance to look at it, but there's a returning flat ride that they've put in, some hot fixes and bugs and that sort of thing. But they've also done it so you can like make a dueling coaster now. Like you can synchronize the rides, and actually not just coasters, but rides in general. You can synchronize in that update, which is quite cool. You know, I'm still hoping for some more themes. I'll be honest, like after this area, I'm pretty stuck for themes. And I know you could use things like the Vikings and stuff to make like a Wild West area and things, but I think what I'm going to focus on, because obviously there's not too much left now to complete this park. This is going to be the final themed area in the park. My intention was always to do 3 or 4 areas. I think we're going to stick with 3. We've built the big water park, we've done the hotel, we've got the car parks and the transport, so I'm really happy with how Primrose Forest has come together. I think what I'm probably going to work on after this is some like smaller individual rides and really focus on the coaster element more, because you know I don't really focus that much on the layouts of the coasters. I enjoy building them, but I don't go like that coaster took me like, you know, half an hour, 40 minutes to build, if that, maybe a little bit less. So kind of going a bit more detailed in that. And creating like some themed rides and maybe just areas instead of full parks moving forwards, or at least until Planet Coaster release some more themes, because I can't believe we've not really had any more DLC. And I know a lot of people, you know, just want some more free updates, which is fine. Like it's great fixing things, but I miss like an original Planet Coaster. I know they're only like $7.99 and stuff, but just having more content packs. I don't mind paying more for some content packs for some different themes, because I just feel like, you know, I've done everything with that mythology theming. This is using the aquatic theme in here. We've done tropical with the water park. You know, obviously Vikings with the opening of the park. So, yeah, I'd really like some more themes moving forward. So, after I've finished with Primrose Forest in the next kind of few episodes, in the next few weeks, then, yeah, that's probably what I'm going to work on, some smaller and individual projects as well. You probably noticed I've just put in a pendulum ride down there, like a big gyro swing down at the back. I thought we'd put that in. I thought that'd be a nice fix for in this park, and that'd go in this steampunk area quite nicely. What I'm also doing here now is extending the monorail route. So the monorail isn't really going to act as transportation throughout the whole park. It's more a ride for you to just enjoy from the park, but it will also take you back to the hotel. So you've got a station in the hotel, a station in the steampunk area, which will be the only station in the theme park. And then it comes down the middle of the road here. That's kind of like when I designed the road quite a while back now, I decided to put like a bigger gap down the middle, just so that we could put a monorail down there, because I thought that would look quite good, and reminds me a little bit of like Walt Disney World, you know, how you've got all the roads and infrastructure. So I thought that would fit quite well down the middle there. And I may possibly add another station down by the main car parks, but then there is going to be a separate car park for the hotel at the back. And what I was kind of thinking, it's a bit like the Disneyland monorail in Anaheim in California. You've got one station in the park, which is in Tomorrowland, but then you've got another station like at the Disneyland Hotel and in like downtown Disney. So that was my kind of logic, what I was thinking with this one. Now, obviously, with it being a big area, I want to make sure we've got enough supporting rides, not just the major coaster. So I've added a second flat ride in there now. There's actually going to be 2 more rides installed in this area, possibly 3 by the time it's finished. But yeah, there's going to be 2 more rides coming in later in this episode, and then I'll decide in the next one if I'm going to add another ride in there. So now it's about starting to build up the theming and the buildings all around this coaster. Like for me, that's the most important part, creating a themed experience. We've done some great theming in this park. I'm really happy with the overall look of it and like the aesthetic of the different areas. So we're going to kind of continue on that with this industrial look that we're going for here. Now, like I say, this kind of been inspired a little bit by the Ride to Happiness, a little bit by Fly and Rookburg, and also a little bit by Discoveryland at Disneyland Paris. Now, obviously, when they built Disneyland Paris and opened that park in 1992, they didn't want to create like a normal Tomorrowland. They wanted it to be a bit more kind of Jules Verne and going down that steampunk like factory industrial style look. And I completely understand why they did that. The main reason that they did that is because obviously Tomorrowland at the other Disney parks, it goes out of date, doesn't it? Like, you've got Tomorrowland and, you know, and it looks great at like Walt Disney World, but like Disneyland, it feels so dated, doesn't it? So the idea was to create Discoveryland. So it would be like you're discovering all this instead of something that's timeless. It doesn't, you know, it's an era what doesn't run out. So that's kind of what I want to create here. I'm not going too futuristic. We're going more industrial, factory, warehouses, but also want it to look pretty, because this park, I like to think it's a pretty park so far. We've got a lot of lakes and it is a forest after all. So I didn't want to kind of go in with the full fly style, building like big barriers. And you got to think the only reason why they did that at Fantasyland, they wouldn't have done that if they had to, if they didn't have to. It was literally because of sound barriers. Like, that's the reason why it's like that. It's the same with Taron in Klugheim. You've got all the rocks around. That is literally because it's a sound barrier. They wouldn't have done that unless they had to. And it looks incredible. Fantasyland go to the next level. But because they have that boundary, that is why that the theme like that. That's why they add more, because they have to have these sound barriers because of all the houses nearby. And that's why they went for that. So my logic here is obviously we've got no restrictions like that at this park. Let's create a big steampunk area and then create like a bit of a these like warehouses and things around. So luckily, with using the aquatic pack and changing the colours, this looks fantastic. And you can create a really good like factory steampunk style setting. So this will also act as a really nice near miss here. A bit of a head chopper element as you're coming round. You're going to bank to the left on that downward helix there before the second launch. And it'll just create a nice kind of near miss element by the factory that you've got here. So there's not actually anything inside it. It could maybe, if this was a real park, that would be like the power in there for this ride, because obviously LSMs take up quite a lot of power. That's possibly what you'd have inside there. But yeah, it's just there to purely look good and just kind of fill in that area. We've got these big fences going in now by the launch. Now, obviously with it being a launch there, we need to make sure that we've got some pretty high fencing to make sure our guests aren't getting anywhere near that launch. Keeping guest safety is always the priority in theme parks. So what we're doing here is putting in like this see-through like mesh. I avoid that normally in a themed area because I don't really like the look of it. I prefer like wooden walls and that sort of thing, and wooden fences. With this being that industrial look, I thought it'd fit really well. So that's why I've put that down there at the launch. It's completely see-through as well. So it means that as people are walking down that pathway, they're going to get some views looking in there at the Xtreme spinning coaster. So here I've just dug out the space where a lake is going to go down there at the back, and you can see the water has gone into place. I knew that I wanted water to have quite a big focus in this area, much like it does in the other two themed areas, and of course the water park, naturally. So yeah, I wanted to make sure that it had a big focus. This whole park has kind of been built around little lakes and rivers, and some of them would have been natural before the park was created, like maybe like this lake here, and other ones would be, man-made, like some of the rivers and things running round. But I really wanted water to have a big focus in this park, and I thought it kind of fit quite well. If we go back to Fly and Ruckberg at Phantasialand, you've actually got that section where the queue line's like raised up and fastened to some of the buildings, but you look down and you've got like a pond with some fountains and things in there, and then near the back of the area you've got some fountains, and that's all got water in. And if you're staying at the hotel, because obviously that area's got a hotel built into it, Charles Lindbergh, you've got like all the fountains and things down the back there, and that's all water, like a pool. It's only shallow, but I thought we'd kind of implement water into this, and it'd work quite well. Again, this building going in is not going to have any purpose other than it looks good for the theming. I like putting little buildings and things around and making sure that it's immersive as possible for guests coming to the park. I also want to make sure that people are getting the best views they can of all of this coaster, because these rides look the part, don't they? The Xtreme spinning coasters, if you've ever seen one in person or been on one, you'll know that, they're amazing to ride. I love them to bits. But obviously they look the part as well from an off-ride perspective. So I'm just trying to make sure that we have enough space around from an off-ride perspective, just so it looks really good for people walking around the pathways, those that might not be tall enough to ride, or just who want to take in the ambiance of the attraction and what it's doing. Of course, we're going to be having some food outlets and facilities and things built into this area too, and they will come up a little bit later on in the episode. But yeah, it's been quite a while since the last one. I hope it's gave you a bit more time to catch up on the series if you haven't already. Like I say, you know, this is episode 12. There's been quite a series before this with all the different areas and rides that I've built. And, you know, my plans have changed quite a bit as we've been building this park. Originally, it was going to be a lot smaller than this. But then kind of halfway through, I was talking about building maybe 4 or 5 lands and making it even bigger, multiple hotels and that sort of thing. And I've kind of scaled that back from them plans now. It's going to be more of a medium-sized park. Like I say, this is going to be the final themed area in the park. I'll be working on this in the next episode as well, where this will be completed. And then it'll be finishing off the infrastructure, finishing off some more car parks and landscaping and opening the park. So, yeah, you know, it's not too far off this project being complete, but I've really enjoyed it. Like, you know, I've had a great time with it. Something you may notice that I've not built in this park are any dark rides. Now, I did the dark rides section on the Flume, but that's as far as we've gone dark rides here. I'd originally planned a dark ride as part of the Greek area. Then I decided against it because the dark ride would have kind of been where that lake is that I've built there on the left now. And I didn't want that area to be any bigger because, you know, you've got the B&M invert. It was already looking really good. I didn't want to kind of go too OTT. So I decided against it. Then I was thinking, well, could I do one to steampunk? And I thought, well, you know, I want another big coaster in this area. And then this is probably going to be the last land. So I've not actually got around to doing any dark rides. And I do love building them. Obviously, it's a lot more time consuming. So like what I'm thinking of doing, instead of, like I say, committing to doing a full park as my next project, is maybe just doing like a dark ride on its own, standalone, across maybe a couple of episodes or like one longer episode. And then you can kind of see it all come together in one and then share the POV and that sort of thing. So I think that's what I'm kind of looking at moving forwards with Planet Coaster 2. Because obviously it's very time consuming recording these episodes and putting them together. And I do really enjoy it. But obviously, you know, we're nearly in March. The theme park's going to be back open again soon. We've got our little baby on the way as well. So I'm not too sure how much time I'm going to have to commit to doing big parks, big projects. So I think maybe doing a few smaller bits here and there would be great. And then maybe if we come around to next winter, I could look at doing another park again. I might get around to doing one earlier, but at least that's what I'm thinking at the moment, you know, just with how I'm feeling with it. And also with the lack of like new stuff really. Like, you know, I don't want to say I'm getting bored of Planet Coaster 2 already, because I'm not, but I just want some more themes. Like, and that's why I stopped playing original Planet Coaster. You know, I'd used the theme so many times. I've built multiple parks. Already, this is my first park, but I wouldn't know where to start with another park after this yet, because there's not enough themes in the game. I'd rather wait until there's some more themes. I'd like to see some more generic ones come back, to be honest, like Fantasy, Pirates, Wild West. I'd love to see some of them come back. And I know you can make bits out of what there is in the game and stuff, but I still like the you know, when they are down to the packs in there, you know, the generic themes. So I'm probably going to wait until some of them come back or some new ones come in before working on another project, like another big park, to be honest. So I'd rather be transparent and honest with these. I don't want to, you know, build your hopes up that I'm going to, you know, build another massive park straight away or anything. I'd rather be realistic and share kind of what I'm thinking with this. I tell you what though, this is coming together nicely because I've never really done anything industrial like this. I normally stay away from these sort of themes in my parks because unless they're done really well and to a high standard, they can look a bit ugly and cheap and tacky, can't they? And that was actually, believe it or not, like when they were building Fly at Fantasyland, before we'd even stepped in the area, you know, and we saw the photos, I was thinking, this rustic look, is it going to look out of place? You know, you're coming at Fantasyland down the Berlin entrance street with all this detailing and everything. And then I'm going to go into this rustic area. Is it going to look the part? And trust me, I was blown away when I first stepped into there and saw it, and all my doubts kind of went away. But you know what I mean? Unless this theme's done well, it can look too boxy and out of place. And that's why there's going to be, you know, as you can see already, there's a lot of details going onto the buildings just here. Again, I'm using everything out the aquatic pack here at the moment. So really all this stuff is supposed to be like yellows and oranges and blues and stuff. You know, I've changed them. Sorry, not orange. You know, like greens and that sort of thing. You know, a bit more like tropical but aquatic. So yeah, I've decided to change them all to like some reds, some browns, some darker colours, and see how it comes together. And you know, I think it's looking pretty good. Obviously, the theme for this coaster is industrial. It is a bit steampunk. But I'd like, of course, a name for this ride and a bit of a storyline to go with it as well. So, of course, get them suggestions coming in on this episode. And then in the next episode, which should be coming up in about a week and a half time, we're actually going to Tenerife tomorrow. By the time you're watching this, we'll be going to Tenerife. So just for a week, we're doing a couple of bits over there, a couple of water parks and things, and just having a bit of a chill. Doing a couple of bits for the Sandbrook Adventures, our second channel as well. So head over there and check that out. But yeah, then after that there'll be another episode. So it'll be about a week and a half from now, the next episode. Now we'll be completing this area. And then we'll kind of go onwards to finishing off little bits around infrastructure before that final opening of the park and the final episode in the series, which will be in a few weeks' time. So this is the exit pathway here from the station, but also, you know, guests could just walk down there and get some views of the first launch if they wanted to. Obviously, the second launch kind of runs parallel along that main pathway that goes down to the back and the pendulum ride. So this is primarily an exit, but people can walk down there and get views. It's like for me, I'll often walk down ride exits. You know, there's no signs or anything saying don't, just to go down there and just get some shots. I don't go anywhere near the station, but just on sometimes ride exit pathways, especially on rides where you can't film on ride, you can go down the exit path and get good shots. It's like for this, one of your best views of the first launch will be down that pathway, and I know you'd see it from the other small little lake that I've built on the other side. But I thought that, yeah, you know, that's just an access pathway to go down and get some nice views of the launch. Got a bit of landscaping going in. Obviously, we've kind of following the theme with a lot of the same trees and foliage throughout the park. But then there's also, each area's got a couple of trees that I introduced into that as well. So we've got these big kind of spruce trees that I'm putting in here. So we're adding them around. Obviously, that's something that, you know, with steampunk, you don't see any trees in Rootberg at Phantasialand. There's not really anything like that. There's a few little bits of foliage, but not like big trees. So what we're doing here is, again, making it very different to that and adding the trees around this. It's a big area. The park's called Primrose Forest. I want to make sure that we're still keeping that foresty feel, even though we've got a bit of an industrial look with chimneys and that sort of thing. And we're going to have like a lot of smoke effects, a lot of mist around, because I think that'll look really good. I mean, it'd be a missed opportunity, wouldn't it, if we didn't do that? Whee! I had to get that one in. So this is the entrance to the ride. Again, name this ride, get your suggestions coming in. I'll pick the best one for next week. So get them coming in. Like I say, you got about a week and a bit until, about a week and a day, 8 days till a week and a day, 8 days until I'll be recording the next episode. So get them suggestions coming in for the name. For the Mack Rides Xtreme Spinning Coaster. Yeah, what a great ride, loving it. And of course, once all the theming's done and we've got the name, I'll share the POV of that for you as well. I thought I won't really show you the POV yet in this episode because there's not really any, the theming isn't complete. You know, there's not really everything around it yet. So that'll be the entrance to the ride. Again, we're putting boxes, tubs, whatever kind of thing we've got around there. And some more chimneys and little things around. And again, that's what makes parks like Phantasialand, the Disney parks. They always have them smaller little details around, or sometimes big details, like these pipes I'm putting in here. Just because it looks the part, and always just, you know, just little photo opportunities, and it just makes you more immersed in them areas. It's like, you know, instead of just having a standard entrance for this, I thought let's go full on and have a nice, you know, a nice fancy entrance into the coaster. I do like the aquatic pack though. There's some good stuff in here. You could certainly do like a futuristic sci-fi theme with this. I mean, you imagine a lot of this like white, grey, dark blues. Again, the original Planet Coaster had a sci-fi theme in there, so I'd like to see that officially come back with like rockets and that sort of thing, satellites and all that. But if you wanted to, you could make a sci-fi area out of this. Just looking at the ride area fence in here again, deciding what to do. A little bit later on, I do actually move the position of that because I knew there was going to be a food unit of some form around there, but I wasn't too sure exactly where it was going to go here. I was just trying to kind of build up the fencing around the ride area there. So it looked good. Some blocks going in along that bottom section there too. And happy days. So yeah, just keep adding little bits in. Sometimes you put things in, like that bit that I've just done there, and you think, no, that doesn't look very good, and you'll remove it away from there. But anyway, since the last one of these, there's been lots going on. Obviously, we've had all the vlogs from Florida on the channel. There's a full playlist, 14 vlogs, so make sure you check those out. We did like the Pirate Takeover at Alton Towers for half term, Blackpool for their half term events, done lots of news updates, everything going on with Merlin at the moment. So much to talk about there. And then, of course, along with that as well, the really exciting news about Universal Studios Great Britain, hopefully getting that approval very soon. So there's a lot going on, lots of news updates and things to check out. I finally got round to updating my top 25 coasters. That was the previous video to this one on the channel, so make sure you check that out. It was about time I did that. It'd been a few years since I'd updated it, and I just struggle a lot to decide my favourites because there's so many amazing rides. You know, I've done over 1,600 coasters around the world. I'm lucky to have done that many, but it's so hard to rank rides. But I know a lot of you have been asking for more ranking videos and top 10s and countdowns and stuff, so I thought instead of just doing a top 10 coasters, which I've only ever done before, let's go in with a top 25, and there's going to be more countdown videos coming. Things a bit like top 10 tips for visiting Alton Towers, for example, and things like that. So stay tuned for all of them. It's kind of going to be an ongoing rolling series throughout the year, but you're probably going to see more of them like as the parks start to open up, top 10 tips, and a bit like, remember the old travel guides that I did a few years ago? A bit like them, but modernising it a little bit and putting it in a better kind of format going forward. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Again, it's all from feedback, and I'm often asking people, oh, what would you like to see? And if you ever got any suggestions, comment down below on the videos. Always trying to make the channel more informative and better for you all to enjoy. Been doing it for 14 years now, our big 15th next year of Theme Park Worldwide. But I always try and keep it as informative as I can do, and trying different things, you know, and that's the thing with Planet Coaster. I've done this full part series, but I want to kind of try and do something a bit different next, and that is some individual rides and projects instead of committing to a full park, because I feel like that will work out a little bit better for me as we enter a busier period, not just for theme parks, but with our little baby coming as well. So in terms of the pathways here, I've added another little bit in. We've got a little triangle in there. We'll add some theming, some pipes and things on there, maybe even some more landscaping just in the middle of that section. I thought it'd make a lot more sense because as much as the queue line for the major coasters not round there, I don't want people to think that's just the exit and there's nothing else there, like the exit to the Xtreme spinner. Obviously there's another flat ride down the back, and going to put another eatery down there I think as well. So it just keeps people flowing down there instead of people looking at the pathway and thinking, oh, that's just an exit. But really there's a hidden ride down there at the back. So we've got this little food unit coming in. This is something else that I'm a little bit disappointed in with Planet Coaster 2. I wanted a bit more variety of food. Like, I can't believe that you know, they haven't put any more like food units in. It's all still the same ones. I think guests are getting a bit sick of seeing pizzas and burgers everywhere. Like, don't get me wrong, love a good pizza in the park, but yeah, definitely could do with some more options in the game. Like, it just feels like, you know, as much as Planet Coaster 2, I'm really enjoying it. I've enjoyed the game a lot so far, but it just feels like some parts of it have gone a bit backwards in terms of we've lost some great themes, some classic themes. There was so much more food before, and like billboards have obviously just come back in with the update. But yeah, it kind of feels like, you know, a couple of steps forward and a step back with some things in Planet Coaster 2 at the moment. But still, I've really enjoyed this park. Great to get back into it again. My original plan before going to Florida was to film the kind of remaining 3 or 4 episodes and release them still whilst we're in Florida, and then we'd have kind of been at the end of the series now. But I just didn't have the chance to do that before we went to Florida. I didn't really want to have a gap and a break in the series. But that's just how it ended up. That's life, isn't it? Things come along, and there was news updates and things to film, and things going away off camera and things as well, to be dealing with. So I just never had the chance to. But we're back now, and we're going to get this part finished, get it up and running, and then of course it will be uploaded into the workshop as well. So you can download it, you can demolish it all if you want, you can add different parts to it. Basically, if you do play Planet Coaster yourself. I know there's a mix of people that watch these. You've got the people that, you know, play Planet Coaster, then you've got the people that just enjoy seeing me building a park. So, but if you have got Planet Coaster, you'll be able to download this part then and make edits. You can change things, you can add things, you can remove things, and yeah, you know, expand on the park once I've kind of finished doing what I'm going to be doing with it here. I'd also like to do another water park at some point in the future. I'm really happy with this one, but maybe an indoor water park would be a good one to do. A bit like the indoor theme park that I did a few years back in original Planet Coaster. That'd be cool, like an indoor water park. And, you know, I've learned a few things while building the water park. I'm happy with it, but there's certainly things I'd do different with the next one. Just thinking about different areas and things that I would add into it. But yeah, I'm really happy with how that turned out, and I'm happy with how this area is coming together. It's starting to fit nicely with the rest of the park. It's well themed, but also we've got the rocks, we've got some landscaping. I thought with the rocks, let's add a bit of a red tint in there, just so that they'd be painted like that, just to make it look a little bit different to some of the rocks like in the Vikings area that we've got, and also the water park, the second gate that we've got here at Primrose Forest, the resort that we've created. Well, yeah, you start zooming out, it's looking great. Obviously, we've got that main centerpiece as well, the flat ride that we've added in the middle. I've actually been on that. There's only one of them that exists, and it's at Canada's Wonderland. Fantastic ride, and like a big claw what kind of comes out round to the side. So I thought, let's definitely add one of those in here. Again, I've tried to avoid, like for the coasters and things, having big, horrible cattle pen queues. So with this, it's not really got any cattle pen. It's just like a long, winding queue under parts of the coaster. And then we've added some landscaping, theming and bushes and things all around there too. Just so that's looking pretty good, pretty solid around there. So yeah, just keeping adding them in, and obviously you get some really good views looking at the coaster from in the queue line as well just there. But no, I've really been enjoying the game. I'm excited to see what else comes in the near future. Obviously, I think we can all pretty much say now that the game was released too early, wasn't it? That was the problem. The Frontier kind of rushed to finish the game too early, and it ended up that people did have bugs. And luckily, I've not touched wood. Like, I've not really had any issues with loads of major bugs and things. The biggest one that I noticed was when my flume ride wasn't working right. You'd have to like reset the timings and things every time you reopen the game. Little bugs like that, but I didn't find anything too major. I mean, obviously I play on PC, but I know some people had some pretty big issues with it. It's funny with this one though, obviously with this update they've done, a lot of my signs turned upside down, so I've had to kind of change some of them. But in general, there's not been too many big issues and bugs with this. Again, we're just carrying on with that industrial style ride area fence in there. Around the side, and then I'll add a bit of terrain over there as well, just kind of building it up. If only it was that easy for parks, that'd be a month's worth of construction if it was a real theme park, wouldn't it? But yeah, that's coming together quite nicely. And the pathway that I did connect in the Vikings area to the Greek mythology area, it was just like a plain pathway. I didn't really add loads to it because I knew that possibly I'd be changing the layout of that, and that was just a placeholder whilst we opened the park for its first kind of season, which we did earlier in the series, and then we shut the park again and obviously working on this new area. And when we open, there'll be this full new area for our guests to enjoy. I do like the street lamps though that come as part of this here. They look nice, just adding them around at the side. And yeah, I've been very impressed with the aquatic like fences and buildings. There's been some funnels and chimneys, some like that big water tank and that sort of thing. That all works great if you're doing this kind of steampunk theme. Like utilising all of that is perfect really for something like this. So yeah, we're just putting the fencing around at the side. I've made that a lot bigger, and again, that's one of my favourite things, the scaling tool that you've got in Planet Coaster 2. Just make things a little bit bigger and you know, more realistic. Obviously, we want a bit of a higher fence around that perimeter section there. So now it's looking good. More little pipes and things added on the side, plenty of rocks. You know me, I just like adding loads of random little things in, and not everything is directly for the storyline. It's just so it looks pretty. I like things to look pretty on the eye, so you come around the corner and think, oh yes, we've got this industrial factory, but it still looks great, you know. It's kind of what we're going with here, and that's one of my biggest kind of gripes with some of the themes at Merlin parks. You know, like take the Swarm at Thorpe Park, for example. I love the theming of that. I think it looks great. But then there's parts of it where you can tell they weren't supposed to look that bad, but now they're covered in moss and all rotting, like some of the wood rotting and things like on the side of the station. It was never supposed to look like that, you know. It was supposed to look like, you know, obviously what's happened there. This invasion's happened, but just let things go. I did notice, like, if you saw our vlog from the Pirate Takeover, when I didn't notice it as much in person, but when I edited it back, obviously we filmed on Battle Galleons, and for the actor experience they did on there as part of it. And you look at some of the little islands that have got the skeletons and things on and the treasure, they were so dirty, like covered in moss and everything. And I was just thinking, like, it's not supposed to look like this. Yes, it's supposed to look like a pirate area, but that doesn't mean everything needs to be covered in mould and dirt and everything. And then you got Poulton's Park the other day that put a brilliant video on YouTube. Check it out on their official channel. They were showing everything what they've done, like over winter. They pressure wash the rides every winter, and this is all on top of the standard maintenance procedure for a theme park. But now I was really impressed with that. Talking of impressive, how good does this flat ride look right in the middle of this area? Very happy with the position of that. I wanted a main kind of anchor ride in the middle, just so as soon as guests walk in, they're going to see this, they're going to see the buildings, and then behind that you've got the big coaster. A good themed area, in my opinion. It's got like something to always draw you back into. Like, you see something impressive at the start, but then your eyes are seeing something else behind it. So when I design my themed areas, that's what I try and do with this. And I think the colours are looking really nice here. We've got a lot of like browns and oranges, the dark reds and things. I think that looks great. Very happy with that. Obviously you can add the custom theme into the flats. I don't think we really need to add much to that, because it already looks like these big claws and it looks terrifying, and they are quite terrifying. Like I said, there's only one out there, and I did ride it in Canada, and it was a very unique but also enjoyable experience. I did really like getting on there. It was good fun. So we're just adding some more pipes and big pillars and things around here now, just all around the central square, because obviously this is directly in the middle of the themed area. And of course, I'd love to know how you're getting on with your Planet Coaster builds. Comment down below which theme have you enjoyed the most, like what have you been playing the most, you know, or maybe, you know, you're feeling a bit like me now, that you've really enjoyed it, you've loved it, but you're just ready for more. You want some more from Planet Coaster, because that's how I'm starting to feel now. Like, I don't think I can commit to doing another themed area at this park. I had got space for one, maybe even two areas at the back. But obviously I also like leaving a bit of expansion room for when you download it in the workshop, if you want to expand it yourself and add your own areas, you know, that sort of thing. Or you might even want to retheme some of my areas and stuff, but whatever you do with it once you download it is up to you. But I like leaving some space for people that want to keep the bits that I built but then add more into it. But yeah, I don't even know what theme I would go for. I feel like, you know, I've done so much, like, you know, with like Wild West and stuff now. I don't even know. I maybe expanding more on like countries. If you remember, like when they released that pack in original Planet Coaster that had like all the countries and things like the Asia theme in and stuff like that, like the Africa buildings and stuff. Maybe that sort of idea would be nice to expand on that. Maybe you could try and maybe do something a bit like Animal Kingdom, you know, like a full-on immersive park like that. But I just, at the moment, with what's in the current base game, we've had no like new theme in or anything coming to the game. You know, I'd be a bit stuck with what to do for my next area. And I think instead of doing like a, you know, an area what I'm not fully committed to next, I'd rather just wrap this park up and focus on doing some like heavily themed dark rides and things like that, and some coasters and things moving forwards. This middle section there is looking nice, obviously changing the terrain there now as well underneath. I like using that rugged rock terrain, because I think that looks really good. But of course, I'm going to need a name. Name this ride for the big flat ride in the middle. So again, get this one in for next week, and I'll reveal it in about 8 days' time when the next episode is here on Theme Park Worldwide. So I need a name for the flat ride, and also a name and storyline for the coaster. Now obviously we've got the monorail station here, we need to start theming on that. I'm not going to do the building for the monorail or the coaster station yet, so I'll be doing that in the next episode. I just wanted to kind of get the feel for how this was going to look first before doing the stations for both of them. But overall, happy with it so far, looking good. Cover up with that bit of that cattle pen queue line there. I don't mind cattle pens too much for transportation rides and things, because they're going to be moving really fast, there'll always be trains coming in. But obviously for coasters, I like trying to avoid them in a park like this. Or maybe I'd look at doing like a compact micro park at some point. That might be a good fun little task. You remember on Roller Coaster Tycoon, or like on Open Roller Coaster Tycoon, if you've played that, you've got like a micro park, which is literally a tiny square, and then people build rides on top of each other. Maybe doing something like that would be cool, or a bit like that water park that opened, like, is it in Qatar, that big water park, what's like an oil rig? Something like that would look awesome, wouldn't it? Possibly. Bear with me, because I'm going to have a drink. I just realised, I can't believe we're 40 minutes into the episode nearly. I've not had a drink yet. Beautiful. time just goes away, doesn't it, when you're playing Planet Coaster. It's a very time-consuming game, but it's very good fun. Look at that though now, the vista, looking into the area, very happy with that and how that's looking. All these big kind of power generators and things, they're perfect for the theme. And we've gone a bit more red with the roof just on there. Again, just to give some variation. We've got these trusses going in, and you know, none of these buildings are fully finished yet. I just wanted to get a bit of a general idea for how these were going to look before adding things like lighting and stuff onto the buildings. Just get a bit of a general gist for that. Talking of lighting, as much as I've put street lights and things around all the areas, I've not done much in terms of atmospheric lighting yet. So before we kind of open the park officially at the end of the series in a few episodes time, I'll add some more lighting and things around as well, just so that's looking good for when you view the park at night. And I don't think I've really shown the park at night much, if at all. So yeah, we're definitely going to be having a lot more night footage before this series wraps up. I thought I'd leave that open there on the end instead of putting another wall in. Thought just leave it open, put some things on there, and these canisters and things. It's all very like, ooh, what's going on here kind of thing, with industrial factory style, and maybe the storyline that you'll come up with. I mean, you guys are amazing at coming up with names and storylines, but for the Xtreme spinning coaster, the Mack coaster, you know, you could kind of play that into it like some kind of unused factories, or the factories are being used for this or something like that. You know, I look forward to seeing what you come up with that one. So yeah, just adding some more detail still onto the building, and that's a bit of an overview of everything there. Looking good. Building up the terrain just there now, because I know we're not going to be needing anything else down the back. We've got the monorail, and I was debating some other rides for around here. I was thinking, do we go for another junior coaster? Then I thought, no, we're all right. We've got the wooden coaster, which is family. We've got the other family coaster, and there's another major family ride, tracked ride, that I'm going to put in as part of this steampunk area as well, that you're going to see going in just a second down here at the bottom, which you'll see shortly. Just using the trees and putting them around, obviously making sure to just kind of spin them around and scale the trees as well, just so it looks as realistic as you can do. But then obviously you have also got the option of adding a bulk load of trees or rocks and things, which you can do in the game as well, which is also pretty good. Right then, so this is where I've changed the route of the pathway. So originally it was down the left. I thought, yeah, too straight, too boring, not very exciting for going into an area. Let's change that up a bit. And so yeah, we're kind of curving round under the monorail, and then we're connecting up that pathway that leads to the Vikings entrance there. I thought we'd not curve that, we'd keep it straight on the edges just for some of the theming. There's going to be another food outlet going in here, and then another family ride and a small flat ride. And I think what I'm probably going to do is add another flat ride in. I don't do it in this episode, but possibly add another flat ride in down there as well. I love flat rides, like you need them. Filler rides are so important at a theme park. Hope you're listening, Alton Towers. You certainly need a good filler flat ride for a good park. Yeah, this is the biggest eatery that we've got. Obviously, we've got toilet facilities in here as well. This is a big restaurant that we've got. There's going to be no indoor seating for this one. We're just going to put some undercover seating on the pathways and things around this area, because we have got a few big indoor restaurants in the park now. So I thought, let's just have this as more kind of quick service, but still like you get your food inside and bring it outside kind of thing to seat. For a sit down, you got the toilet facilities just in there. And yeah, overall this will be another themed building. What I'm also going to do is send a family ride through this building above the toilets. You might be thinking, hang on a minute, what's going on? Obviously there'll be a roof there blocking the toilets, but yeah, we're going to send through like a little a trolley ride. I thought this would be a really nice idea, and I am going to theme the trains up quite nice. I'm going to add some theme into them. Yeah, obviously you've got the Seuss trolley located at Islands of Adventure, and I think that's a great ride for families. So I thought, let's put one of them in here for like an aerial look around the steampunk land. I thought that'd fit in really well. So we've not really got a tracked ride in this park in terms of like vintage cars or anything like that. So I thought that'd fit in perfect with what I want to go for here at Primrose Forest. So you'll see that going in shortly as well. We've got all these trusses. That reminds me of Videopolis actually at Discoveryland, at Disneyland Paris. And it's a shame they haven't got like a big airship or something like that, because that would have been great in this area, you know what I mean? Or like hot air balloon style thing, you know, going around this area. What we need is like the vintage pack. Do you remember the vintage pack in Original Planet Coaster? I look back now on some of them original themes and packs and thought, blimey, there was so much more to do, wasn't there, in the original game, like different themes. And obviously, you know, look, even if you've not played it, you watch these episodes and think, oh, there is a, what are you on about? There is a lot. Look at what you've made. But yeah, I've utilised all the theme packs now. Like, everything's been utilised. I think for me, if Planet Coaster had released another new theme pack in the next couple of weeks, I would have done another area in this part down at the back. But let's face it, I can't really see that happening at the moment. It's all just hot fixes, isn't it? Which we need, but I wouldn't mind another paid DLC now, you know. Lovely. Obviously, they did that that paid one for them bonus rides, which kind of didn't work out the best value for some people. So I think it'd be nice to see some more themes coming in. What themes would you like to see though next in the game? Like I say, I think it'd be nice for them to really add a lot more kind of animal style theme. I know you got Planet Zoo, but you know, some of the buildings in Planet Zoo would be great. Something like that. If you could do like a good Africa area and Asia and stuff, would be amazing. Right then, here it is. This is the Seuss trolley. Don't worry, we're going to change the colour scheme of it. I just wanted to get the kind of layout in here, and this will kind of act as like our entrance archways into this land as well, and kind of greet you in. So yeah, I thought let's make a good space around there, because there's going to be a little kids flat ride going into that section shortly. And then we take this round again. This will act as another little entrance area coming in from Vikings at that side by the swinging ship. And then I thought, do we just loop it round here, or do we take it all the way back? I thought, why not? We don't do things by halves. Let's take it all the way back, loop it over there, acting as another entrance, and we'll kind of block that in, which will be cool. We'll build some tunnels and maybe a small little dark ride scene on here would be nice. And I thought we'll take it through the middle there. And then I was debating, do we go around the back of the restaurant, or should we take it straight through it? And I thought, no, we'll stick with the original plan. We'll go straight through it, kind of over the pathway again there, in line with the monorail, which runs next to it slightly. And I think for me, with this being a steampunk area, an industrial, this will add some good kinetic energy, because you're going to have the monorail will be coming through sometimes, the coaster, the flat ride in the middle, this going round overhead. You'll walk in and you'll just feel it happening, and that's what you get in like Tomorrowland and Discoveryland at the Disney parks. You know, you walk in, you've got like Orbitron in the middle spinning round. You've got the people mover going overhead. So this is like our people mover in this park effectively. And so I thought, let's do that. But instead of doing like a people mover ride, let's have it as a trolley ride. We can theme this up. We can, yeah, it'll look really nice, that. And obviously I'm going to be focused on that in the next episode. So make sure you come and join me for that. And we'll kind of finish this off and add more theming and detail all around that. But yeah, we're coming towards the end of the episode. I can't believe I've been talking for 45 minutes, but lots to talk about, lots happening at the moment. Not just in the game, but in the industry in general. And we're nearly at the official parks opening again, which I'm really happy about. Blackpool main opening next week, get back on Icon. That'll be exciting. And so much more. Yeah, we go. I just thought we'd have the little flat ride in there. That was an original Planet Coaster as well, but I thought it'd be nice just for the kids just to have another flat ride. And we'd put that down in there. I was just having a bit of a mess about with the railings and things there, seeing what we can do. And obviously you can change the colours and things on the railings, and just thinking more, oh, where shall I send the pathway? Because obviously I know that I'm going to be adding some buildings and things around there. Where should we put the pathway is kind of what I was thinking. Then I completely remove it and then start again. That's just how it goes in this game, isn't it? There we go. I decided to go for a bit of one a bit closer, because I just like to try and think, oh, you know, there's going to be some theme in there, or a building, or, you know, not blocking in too many sections. But of course, if you do enjoy these episodes and you haven't already, make sure you go back and check out the full series, the Planet Coaster 2 series here on the channel. Along with that as well, check out our original Planet Coaster series. I was playing that for like 5 years, did all sorts of parks and things. We did everything. Like we did a Globe Explorer park, you know, Atlas Adventure, where it was a full kind of, you know, resort. Along with that, we did some smaller projects, did like a boardwalk park with a pier and everything. Did a studios park. Done so much over the years in Planet Coaster, and of course more to come. But like I say, after this series ends, probably going to be another 2, maybe 3 episodes in this series, and then we're going to work on some smaller individual projects. And I think that'll just keep me kind of motivated with the game until we just see a lot more stuff starting to get released from Planet Coaster. At least that's what I'm thinking of anyway. I think that'd be a good thing to do moving forwards. Obviously, the next episode will be the last one of doing major building, because yeah, we're going to finish off this whole area, this steampunk area. Let me know your thoughts so far. Obviously, it's, you know, I'd say it's 40% complete, maybe not even that. There's a lot more to add in. Obviously, we've got the ride hardware in, but we've got a lot more theming to add, and buildings and details. I may add another flat ride in here, like another family flat ride, if I can fit it in. I think I might have space for it just the other side of the monorail track there. So I think we might add another flat ride in just to the right of the monorail station. Another spinning flat for families. I think if we can fit it in, why not? It's a high budget park anyway. Let's try and fit that in. And you may notice as well, I've also kind of blocked in the back of the park there now, put some trees and foliage in on where, you know, you could expand this park. It looks like the map's full now, but there is enough space back there for another 1, maybe 2 areas. Probably not the size of these areas, but, you know, you could do a good 2 medium-sized areas down there at the back when this does go into the workshop, if you do want to expand on that yourself. But there you go, coming towards the end of another action-packed episode. If you do enjoy watching though, be sure to subscribe to the channel, give the video a big thumbs up, turn the notifications on, and then you'll be notified when we're uploading new content. Obviously there's been so much in the past with Planet Coaster, and more on the way with Planet Coaster 2 as we kind of work on these different projects for you all as well. But as always, really appreciate your support and kind words. It takes a long time to do this, like it really does. Each episode takes hours and hours because you've got to think I'm playing the game, then I have to edit the clips together, then record all this. So you know, it's very time consuming putting these together, but I'm glad that you enjoy it. It's good to be back with the series, and of course there's going to be another few episodes left in this series. But I'm Sean Sandbrook, thank you very much for watching, and that leaves me with one final thing to say. Get out there and keep on riding. See you in the next episode.